The first arrow struck his shoulder, not deep enough to kill him, just enough to burn. The second hit his thigh. The third punched into his ribs. By the fourth, Marcus Hale knew he wasn't going to make it out standing. But the child behind him was still alive. That was enough. 1. The day the sky burned. The mining outpost on Illyrian 9 had been quiet for 6 months. Too quiet. Marcus had learned the hard way that quiet on frontier worlds usually meant one thing. Something was watching and waiting. He was escorting a supply caravan back to base when the ambush came. Energy bolts streaked from the tree line, alarms screamed, civilians scattered, and in the middle of it all, frozen in terror, stood a small alien child, her pale blue skin glowing faintly in panic, 4 bright eyes wide as moons. She wasn't human, she wasn't armed, and she was very, very small. "Move!" Marcus shouted, sprinting toward her. The first poisoned arrow struck him mid-stride. Pain exploded through his nervous system like fire crawling under his skin. He stumbled but kept moving, slamming into the child and knocking them both behind a cargo hauler. She clutched his armor with trembling hands. "Don't look," he said, already turning his back to shield her. That's when the arrows really came. 2. Poisoned light. The Veiltari didn't kill quickly. Their arrows were designed to paralyze, rot muscle, and shut down neural activity over hours. Slow, cruel. Marcus took 6. Each impact sent a pulse of agony through his body. His limbs grew heavy, vision blurring, but he stayed upright, arms wide, body blocking the child completely. He fired blind over his shoulder, suppressing the attackers. "Run," he rasped. "When I say—" The child shook her head violently. "No," she cried in broken trade tongue. "You hurt." Marcus smiled weakly. "Yeah, that's kind of my job." The poison reached his spine. His knees buckled. He collapsed forward, still shielding her as his body hit the ground. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was her face, streaked with tears, glowing softly in the smoke, and her small hands pressed against his chest. 3. Between death and time. Marcus didn't die. Not fully. The Veiltari poison shut his body down instead. Heart slowed to near nothing, neural activity suspended. A living statue. When the Veiltari found him, they thought he was already dead. They didn't finish him. The child did not leave his side. Her people found them hours later, and when they saw the human warrior, still breathing barely, lying across their princess like a shield, they carried him home. 4. The long sleep. Marcus dreamed. Not of Earth, not of war. He dreamed of light filtering through leaves, of soft voices chanting, of small hands holding his. He dreamed of a child's voice whispering the same word again and again, "Stay." His body lay preserved in stasis sap, an ancient bioresin used by the Aelari to preserve their greatest warriors until healing or history was ready. Years passed, decades. The galaxy moved on. Marcus did not. 5. Awakening. Consciousness returned like drowning in reverse. Pain flared, then vanished. Air filled his lungs. Gravity pressed against his back. Marcus gasped and sat upright with a shout. Light flooded his vision. He wasn't on a battlefield. He was in a vast stone chamber, walls etched with glowing sigils, sunlight pouring through towering arches. He looked down at himself. No armor, no wounds, no scars where the arrows had struck. His body felt strong. Voices gasped. He turned. Dozens of Aelari women stood in a semicircle, tall, elegant, armored in ceremonial silver. warriors, guards, nobles, and at the center of the chamber, a woman knelt. Her crown rested on the floor before her, her head bowed. Her glowing blue skin bore markings of authority and age. She raised her eyes. Marcus's breath caught. He recognized those eyes. 6. The child groaned. "You're alive," Marcus whispered. She smiled, and tears spilled freely. "I promised you," she said. "You stayed." He stared at her, mind reeling. "You were small," he said weakly. "I was 12, she replied softly. "By your reckoning." She placed her hand over her heart. "I am Sailira of Aelari, and I am queen." The chamber echoed with reverent silence. Marcus swung his legs off the stone platform, steadying himself. "How long?" he asked. Sailira hesitated. 50 cycles, she said. 50 of your years. His knees almost gave out. 50? She bowed lower. "Because of you, I lived. Because I lived, my people survived. And because my people survived, I kneel." 7. The debt of a queen. Sailira arose and gestured. Aelari elders stepped forward, their expressions solemn. "The Veiltari invasion came weeks after you fell," one said. "They expected us weak." Sailira's voice hardened. "They were wrong." Holograms flickered to life, battlefields, fleets, fallen enemies. "I unified the clans," she continued. "I ended the blood feuds. I forged alliances with those who once hunted us." Marcus stared. "All because a human stranger chose to stand instead of flee," she said firmly. She stepped closer, eyes unwavering. "You took poisoned arrows meant for a child who was not your own. Our laws bind life to life." She knelt again. "My life is yours." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Marcus stepped back instinctively. "No," he said sharply. No, get up. I didn't do it for ownership or power." Sailira smiled softly. "That is why you deserve neither." 8. The world has changed. Over the following days, Marcus learned the truth. Humanity had expanded. Empires rose and fell. The frontier shifted hundreds of light years. Illyrian 9 was now deep within Aelari-controlled space, and Marcus Hale was officially listed as dead in every human database. "You could return," Sailira said one evening as they stood on a balcony overlooking a glowing city. I watched Aelari children playing below. "Everything I knew is gone," he said quietly. "Everything I was existed because of you." A distant alarm echoed. Sailira's posture changed instantly. "Queen, not child." "The Veiltari raid our borders again. They believe you are a myth." Marcus cracked his neck. "Yeah," he muttered. "People usually do." 9. Battle beside a queen. The battlefield was chaos, energy fire streaking across crystalline plains, Aelari warriors holding formation against Veiltari shock troops. Marcus stood at Sailira's side, wearing newly forged armor, light, flexible, deadly. When the Veiltari commander spotted him, recognition flashed. "The human! You should have died!" Marcus raised his rifle. "I tried," he said calmly. "Didn't take." The fight was brutal. Marcus moved like instinct reborn, covering Sailira, firing with precision, dragging wounded warriors to safety. At one point, a Veiltari blade slipped through the defense and struck toward Sailira's back. Marcus stepped into it. The blade shattered against his armor, but the intent was clear. Sailira turned, fury blazing. "No more," she commanded. The Aelari surged. The enemy broke. 10. What kneeling means. After the victory, Sailira found Marcus alone at the edge of the battlefield.
"You still stand in front of me," she said quietly. He shrugged. "Old habits." She looked at him for a long time. "When I knelt," she said, "it was not submission." He raised an eyebrow. "Could have fooled me." She smiled faintly. "In a Lari tradition, a queen kneels only once in her life." His breath caught. "To the one she chooses as her shield," she finished. Marcus looked away, overwhelmed. "I don't belong on thrones," he said. "I belong where someone needs standing in front of them." Sealira placed her hand over his. "Then stay," she said simply, "as you always have." 50 years returned. Word spread across the sector. The human who did not die,